Hey, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm like, no one's posting political videos anymore. Well, nobody that I care about commenting to. Except for one person. It's like, I'm just kind of stymied. Because I'm like trying to say the same thing and it like never gets through. And it's like, well, let's try to find something that says the same thing I do so I could just say, oh, okay, I'm just a cultural nationalist. Okay, I'm just a left libertarian. Okay, I'm just a social conservative. You know, something that just says, yeah, I'm this. You know, that's why I think this way. And instead of trying to go ahead and roll out the whole damn thing, you know, but I've been all through Wikipedia and I can't find it. And that's just not good, you know? So I don't know what to do. I mean, it's like a left libertarian, but, uh, well, basically, it's like this. When it comes to health, wealth, and age, which I consider economic issues, I'm a progressive. I'm a hesitant progressive. But as a post-scarcity futurist, I am a progressive. And what it means to me to be a progressive is that instead of like ownership society or lease society, lease society being progressive, I tend to be on the regulated side when it comes to economics because you can't low bid the common good. The free market forces and profit incentives will not secure the best interests of the public at large. They will not hold the public interest. I think medicine should be a right. I think that freaking education to a certain extent, especially the non-electives, should be not free but affordable. You know, I think there should be affordable housing. I think there should be, well, a whole bunch of things. From there on, it's just like every other Democrat and liberal you've heard of. You know, universal health care, you know, fair housing to a degree. But except when, as a social conservative, it comes to what I considered libertarian, which is a few other things also, but basically race, gender, and sexuality. And you can put other things in there, nationality. I wouldn't say abortion, because even though that's supposed to be a social issue, and it kind of is, I don't consider it that. I consider it an economic issue because it's to do with health. So I don't know. I support free dentistry and free veterinarianism. You know, I don't even want to talk about age consent. With well, teen laws. I'll just leave it at that. You know, uh, everyone's a freaking adult at 13 with provisions. You know, and I mean, basically, it's like it is nowadays, except it's more of a gradient than a number. You know, I think that we should have mediation society instead of like a court system that's a litigation society. In other words, especially with civil liberties and Title X and anti-discrimination, things like that, there's really no clear bound. On the one hand, I think that, like, for example, if someone doesn't want to serve someone who or doesn't want to do a service for somebody because of their religious preferences, like a gay wedding or a gay cupcake or a gay cake or whatever, right? That's a prerogative. To a certain extent, their prerogative is to serve or not serve how they please. And without institutionalizing any racism or things like that, service to the public should be much more on the business side. Of course, then again, I think there should be no freaking corporatism either. Any company should not have a personhood right. So you would see a lot of businesses, especially big businesses, quickly sink under, and lots of little businesses come together. But see, with things like institutionalized, instant minimum, guaranteed minimum income, and things like that would replace SSI, veterans, food stamps, all the supplements, subsidies. Instead, it would be a basic income and a tax relief, and then therefore it would go ahead and acts as a basic tax relief and a subsidy for all those other things for people who are low income or in need. So that I'm fine with, as long as it doesn't penalize you in a way that makes you stuck on it, where you're basically trapped in a entitlement program. See, because if you had universal basic income, you wouldn't have to have an eligibility score. So it would be with medical, you wouldn't have to worry about working your way out of it. You could be incentivized to be productive at any age, in any condition. And that's a good thing. And so far on about a restructuring of the tax system that wouldn't give these loopholes, but at the same time would harbor individualist wealth, especially working wealth. Like somebody who has a working farm, but he's just like got 3 or 4 people. He's an independent farmer, and it's like, yeah, sure, he's $1 million on paper, but most of that is tied up in his business and is really not disposable income or anything like that, because it's all tied up in his revenue to increase his increase his general profit that he makes his subsistence on. So it's like I just can't go out and just explain all this stuff. Damn it, I hit my camera. And it's like, well, and the internet. I think we're going to get to the point where we realize that the internet is not a luxury. The internet is becoming, by default, a necessity because of online shopping, online interactions, things that you can do without the internet. But the telephone and ridiculously in this day and age, writing or trying to make rounds, physical appearances, going to this office and that office and this office, it's about as ridiculous as broadcast television. It's archaic. We don't need it. We need a Wi-Fi or WiMAX system that covers the continental United States, at least urban and suburban areas, and the others if possible. So, the point is that as a futurist, I could see to a certain degree how this could be a better situation, but that really counts on the numbers. If it sounds great, if it's pie in the sky, it sounds like something that's just wonderful with shining bright cities and big, huge freaking whirly-bird helicopters and all kinds of freaking Venus Project things and the world of tomorrow. But if it doesn't make sense logically or economically, then it's just an expense, because the whole point of futurism is like things that will make more sense and be more productive and of value to society as a whole. So that's why I get off on things like social capital, and when people are talking social justice and privilege and all this stuff, and it's like, no, God damn it, no. I'm not exactly a progressive, but as what I consider a social libertarian, I can't support a progressive or a conservative authoritarian ideal. And it's like, and yes, and I have opinions that are freaking regressive. I admit it. It's everything from homosexuality to the whole thing. Everything, the whole shitlord, the freaking alt-right. Well, not alt-right, because they're ethno-nationalists, and I'm not that. I'm a civic nationalist. Which means that I consider citizenry, not ethnicity. Although there is some points I am a cultural nationalist too, because I kind of feel like your gender, your ethnicity, your nationality, and your religious view, even though I'm an atheist, influence things. It might not work without it. Although I'm not one to tell you freaking, because that, we all need to freaking take a knee for Christ, No, not me. But at the same time, culturally, I do support those Judeo-Christian values. And that brings up questions like, what about Muslims? What about Judaism? Oh God, he's talking about the friggin' Jews. There has to be a solution to get to a better world. At least moderately. Maybe you'll never get there ideally, but there has to be a better road that travels, because that's the road to the destination. If you follow what I mean. So, trying to explain that is just basically to the right, health, to the right, race, gender, sexuality, to the left, Health, Wealth, and Age. I'm gonna try to find it, but I don't know if I can because he keeps talking about socialism and other things, and it just strays back into what I consider a social progressive authoritarianism. Yeah. Hope that cleared it up.